everyone. Welcome to the Limited Edition Leadership Show. My name is Paula Dunn, and I am a teenage leadership strategist and cognitive scientist. Today, I would love to introduce you to the fabulous and Michael Grinder. And for those who are not familiar with Michael, let me tell you, he comes from an interesting family. His brother, John Grinder, is co-founded Neuro Linguistics Programming in the 1970s. Well, my mind is just blown. Michael is well known for his training in nonverbal communication, group dynamics, influence skills and permission for schools, corporations, and individuals. I actually met Michael at one of his nonverbal communication workshops last year and felt that we really resonated on so many levels, including, we did, didn't we? And our concepts, methodologies, plus he's a really top bloke, as you can see. So today I invited him to be part of the show to talk about his cat and dog methodology that will help educators and students connect better in the classroom. So welcome, Michael.
Pleasure, absolute pleasure.
Great. So when did you start working with personalities?
Well, I first have to indicate that where I live is where Nike is. So it's the west coast of the United States, so I'm wearing the garb.
You're looking pretty schmick, by the way.
I'm in the state of Washington, across the river from Portland, Oregon. And I taught for a number of years, 18, in California, Oregon, and Washington. And I was always fascinated by how do you understand different student styles? And because I was trained in NLP, I was using visual, auditory, kinesthetic. Then I went into right brain, left brain. And I still said, there's got to be a way that's not so judgmental. It doesn't have all the connotations. And as I was trying to write this, I happened to walk into the kitchen and my cat was on the counter. And the cat looked over at me and realized I'm the parent. I'm the adult in the house that doesn't like the cat on the counter. It jumped down. I didn't even have to yell. I walked through the room, started going to another room, turned around, looked back, and the cat jumped back up on the counter.
Yeah.
That's it. Why don't we use cats and dogs? Because everyone knows cats and dogs. When you call a dog, it comes. When you call a cat, if you don't sound like a can opener from the kitchen, why should it?
That's it. What's it?
So that was the origin of cats and dogs.
That's fantastic. So tell us more about the cats and dog methodology.
Well, I wrote a book, and this is adult to adult communication. And it has to do with, are you working with a cat or are you working with a dog, and how do you respond differently to them? And then recently I said, well, when people become cats is when they become an adolescent. So this is a picture of the mom and dad at the birthing room. And as I walk out with the baby, there's a box there. And the box says, you don't have to open this for another 13 years. So sometime when the hormones start to change, the teenagers become cats. So 1 out of 4 people tend to be a cat, and the other 3 tend to be more dog. Mm-hmm. But even the dogs become cats temporarily during adolescence.
Okay, can you tell us more about that? So what are the characteristics of a cat and a dog then, for example?
Well, if I may, if you want to know live, just watch Great Britain Has Talent. And you have 4 judges.
Yes.
There's 3 of them that are dogs, and then there's Simon.
Oh, Simon, yes.
Everyone knows Simon. So think of Simon, you know what a cat is. And so the characteristics of a cat is they're very independent. Mm-hmm. They decide their own reality. They're not influenced a lot outside. Very hard to reach. And they absolutely have amnesia if you correct them. So that's why you have to correct cats over and over and over.
Mm. Okay. And you talk about like a feral cat. What's the difference between a normal cat and a feral cat?
I actually have a feral cat right now. He came on our property. We're a tree farmer in the state of Washington, and it just adopted us. And it must have been maybe 3 weeks old. So we don't know where it came from. And really, the best success between my wife, Gail, and I, we did not do well with the cat, but our dog did. And so our dog has trained our cat. And the cat now is maybe 4 months along. And it finally can have us walk by without it attacking us, because everything was attack.
Yeah.
And it was frightened of everything. And the dog trained it. So now the cat and the dog both have electric collars. And we have an invisible fence around 8 acres. So they go outside every day and they play, but they never go outside the boundaries. So having electronic, if you get too close to the line, tick, reminder that, that's what the limit is. And so we didn't really train the cat, the dog did. And as the dog and cat play really rough during the day, then the cat will be settled for the night. It will sit on our lap. It will take care of us if we can stroke it. Otherwise, if it hasn't played enough, we become part of the play objects.
Right. Okay. So it's quite interesting, because I've been to some schools where obviously they've got feral cat students, right? Where, they're the ones that disrupt the class. Maybe they're, mucking about, and the teachers get frustrated, and so they attack back, which obviously escalates the situation and the relationship. So, what would you suggest for teachers? Because obviously, that when I come in and speak with these students, obviously I get a rundown of what's going on for each student. And obviously they've got this proximity bias that the teachers have been with these students for years and so forth. And for me, I'm fortunate because, first of all, I'm an outsider. I'm not a teacher and I'm not a parent. So, I don't have that lens of like the emotional pull and comparing my children to someone else's and so forth. So I can come in objectively, and having worked in corporate as a leader as well, I just use those skills and methodologies to come in and superimpose what's going on. So obviously I always take things with a grain of salt. They can give me their feedback and their suggestions of what worked, what hasn't worked, and then I come in with my approach and work with those kids. But it's quite interesting how, when people aren't equipped to dealing with difficult people, they use a lot of the pleasure pain principle, the reward and the punishment type thing. So I mean, how does that work for a feral cat?
Not well, because they have amnesia. Here is a concept. This is in America. You clean this.
Earbud.
What do you call it in Australia?
Earbud. Cotton bud.
And we call it a Q-tip.
A Q-tip. There you go.
And so the initials are QTIP. So when you have a feral cat, or when your regular cats become feral cats, or when your regular dogs become domesticated cats, put this in your pocket as a teacher. And because QTIP, you make sure it pretends for quit taking it personally. Because if you take it personally, you think like, hey, I've developed a relationship with you. Why are you responding that way to me? You feel like you're taking it personally. They're not doing it. They would do it with anyone. So a Q-tip is a great way to remind yourself that if you want to turn it over, you can pretend that the other end of QTIP says, quietly take it professionally. And so stay above the fray, because as soon as you start breathing high, the cat has you, especially middle school and high school students. They love it. They almost come to school and go fishing. I caught another teacher today. Caught another teacher today. So for them, it's a harmless game. But for the teachers, they just really get serious about it. Come on, I really put a lot of time in for this lesson. You should appreciate me. You can't do that. It's a cat. So you tease the cat.
Yeah. Okay, there was this student once that I, obviously she was a very feral cat, but I think definitely misunderstood. and I was trying to do some development work with the group she was in, and she was very like, you know, blasé and in one ear out the other, and like I was talking about careers and future careers and what do you want to do, and it's like, yeah, I don't know, I don't care. And then I pulled the method. I think I was a bit more of a dog at that moment, you know, trying to be supportive and nurturing, and I was like going, hang on a minute, it's not working. So I called her bluff, and I turned it around, and I gave it back to her, and I basically went, you do care. And I kept saying to her, like, and she sat there like this, like, and then she became submissive. And it wasn't submissive, but it was more like, finally, whatever wall she had up, and this is just, you know, the tip of the iceberg. It was a lot more deeper than that, but the wall actually came down, and I actually saw who she really was by her facial expressions, by me just stating the truth, you know, because she had this facade up and this tough guy approach, and obviously all this stuff, whatever's going on for her, these layers and layers and layers, and obviously the teacher's feedbacks about this individual, and I was able to get through to her in that limited amount of time. So, I mean, that was just based on just being changing my approach, and I wasn't being nasty. Like, I wasn't calling her names. I did call her on her bullshit, and I said bullshit, and she looked at me, but I was able to sort of crack through to say, well, you're saying one thing, but I know on the inside it's something else. Like, you know, you go into the underlayer. Yeah. So is that something like, if you've got a feral cat, because obviously a lot of teachers might get frustrated and swear back. I've had principals that told me that they don't like the way the teachers behave, and they might swear back at the teachers, like the teachers will swear back at the kids, and the kids will say the F off words to the teachers. So it kind of like escalates because of frustration.
Yeah.
So what would be one of your tips for a teacher, the Q-tip?
But part of what you're doing is, with a cat, when you have the time, tease the cat. Never please the cat. So if someone says, I can't do this work, some teachers can get away with going like, I'm sure you can't, and then they walk away. Now, that startles the student. So you startled the student by saying, you do care, and they were startled. So anything that will startle a cat breaks them out of their mindset. But you've got to be breathing low. So the secret is, can you be sarcastic without being insulting? And that fine line,
yes,
because if you do the same strategy, like if you walk by a dog student and go, that's a very nice sweater you have on, jumper you have on today. You keep walking, that's fine. But if you do that with a cat, they go, no, because you've spent too much nice time. But if you go by a cat and go, I guess that's a sweater, I guess that's a jumper, and keep walking, they go, what? So anytime you can hook them, get them to, you reel them in, tease them. I mean, you can be presenting to the whole class and just take a hand gesture towards one of your big cats and go like this, you probably won't like this, and then go right on teaching. And what you're doing is you're taking away their trump card, which was, I don't like this. Well, you told them you're not going to like this. And then you go right on. But you've got to do it successfully, because if you don't have a relationship and you do it, then the principal is going to call you in and say, you were sarcastic and impolite to that student. So it's only when you have the relationship.
Yes.
So the question is, how do you form the relationship? That's the hardest thing. So we actually have on YouTube if you type in my name and put down Schoolhouse of Relationships, it will show you the 3 different books we have. How do you do relationships? So here's an example. You're at the door and the students are coming in, and you have 4 students that are going to come in. First 3 are going to be dogs. Good morning, good morning, good morning, depending on the grade level. Good morning, good morning. So it depends on the grade level.
Yeah.
The 4th one coming in is a cat. Don't make any eye contact. Don't be nice with your voice. And go like this, morning. They love that, because there's no social pressure to be nice back.
Yeah.
They hate it. Because if you say to the cat, good morning, the cat in their mind goes, get a life. Because you're imposing on their sanctuary. So The rule of thumb in relationships is please the dog, tease the cat.
Okay. Love it, love it. So I'm sure a lot of teachers are probably thinking about this. So as a teacher, which style would be better to have, a cat or a dog?
Be flexible.
Be flexible. Okay.
First 3 students were dogs, the 4th one was a cat. Can you do both? Mm-hmm. So the teacher's going to say, well, when do I get to be myself? On an easy day. Easy day, do whatever you want. Hard day, hard class, whoa, you're professional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so much like leadership. Even when you're working in a corporation, you do have to flex your style in leadership. And it's about getting on the same page as the people that you're trying to motivate and inspire. Yeah. So yeah, no, it's fantastic. Wow. So, yeah. So if people want to find you, Michael, where can they go?
Well, my name is the same as the Google, michaelgrinder.com.
Wonderful.
And then they can go to YouTube, and it's a Michael Grinder channel. We have 109 clips up there, a lot of them on dogs and cats. I think there's 30 of them on classroom management, and they're all with illustrations. And then we have our books. Do you mind if I show books?
Sure, I'll go for it.
So for teachers, we had to come up with several different books. This book is our #1, and it's called Envoy, and it's how to preserve relationships. So most teachers, that's the #1 book. But with some students that are the cats, you don't have relationship, you can't use that book. How do you form relationship? So it's called A Cat in the Doghouse. Mm. And so you see a school icon, and then the cat is in it. And then what we have here is, this is the advanced program. This is called A Healthy Classroom, and it's a relationship between students with each other.
Right.
So the first 2 are the teacher with the class or the individual. Yes. But the third one is for the teachers that are very, very successful, go to the Healthy Classroom.
That's fantastic. So it covers all bases there, folks, and you heard it from the best. So yeah, so make sure you jump on to Michael's website and YouTube channel and subscribe, and you will get your doses of cat and dog and learning how to tame your students and bring out the best in them. Look, it has been a privilege and a pleasure to have you on the show today, Michael. And for those at home, if you've really enjoyed this YouTube show today, please like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget, to be you, have courage, and live life without limits. Until next time, Paula Dunn signing off.
Thanks, Paula.